What is up, people? The internet, it is me, Real American Politics, back in with a new video, and today, it is time that we discuss the Georgia runoff early vote data. That is right, folks. We're going to be discussing how is it looking for Republicans in the state of Georgia, and we're going to be careful, because this is a disclaimer. Be careful looking at the early vote tea leaves. They're unpredictable as hell, but there are still some indications for how the early vote will influence the election. For example, early in-person voters, you probably can guess, will vote slightly more Republican than those that voted by absentee and all that good stuff. Generally speaking, that's the trend we saw in 2020. But we got to look at, all right, is this looking good for Republicans? Is it not? What's bullshit, etc.? Now, before I forget, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash that like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the Twitter account in the description down below, and join the channel today. That is right, folks, for just 10 cents a day. You can join Real American Politics, only 10 cents a day. That's a phenomenal deal to help support the daily content. We all love that daily content, so I hope you join today. Alright, sorry, I accidentally clicked that. So let's get into it. Now, Georgia is one of those states where there is a significant early vote. I mean, over half of the 2022 electorate voted early. So that's going to be the uphill battle for Republicans. But this is the thing about the runoff that a lot of people I don't think fail to realize. The early voting in Georgia is basically a quarter of that of the general election. The runoff, there's not much early voting in the runoff. It's only like a week, right? If that. I think it's like actually specifically it started on like, November, it started like, technically it started November of 10th, but those are early absentees. I think there's a glitch there, but point is, the real early voting starts November 22nd or 24th. That's when the early voting really kicks in. Technically, it's supposed to be the 28th, but there was a court order to allow some counties to open early. Why? I don't know, but the Republicans, of course, failed to utilize that. They refused to open early, and it kind of gave Democrats a head start. But that's kind of just whatever. Were those voters going to vote anyways? Probably. I really doubt this is going to affect the election that much. Could it, if it's very close? Yes. But I don't think these voters weren't going to vote. They were going to vote either way, so I don't really think these early votes are really going to matter on like November 26th, November 27th. But we got to look at today. As of yesterday, it was 504,000 runoff votes. Look at the general election. They had 1.8 million votes. You do some basic math, all right? Let's say somehow, some bizarre miracle that they continue to add 300,000 votes to runoff or early votes every single day until Friday. That's when it stops. That's when the early voting ends. 300,000 times Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So 4 more days. So at the best case scenario for the Democrats, they're going to get around 1.7 million early votes. This is best case scenario. The trend stays exactly the same over time. Now, you realize, in the general election, there was around 2.5 million votes. You do some basic math and you realize, oh, wait, that's a pretty big decrease from the general election. And if I do the math correctly, it comes out to around a 33% decrease in the early vote from 2022. That's not the best sign for Democrats. I understand that these extra 2 days may help them a little bit. It does. But even if they keep up this pace, which, by the way, a lot of these areas, they're actually fairly Republican that are getting some significant early votes. If they keep up to 1.7 million votes, that is a 33% decrease from the 2022 election. I don't think that's good sign for Democrats. I really don't. Would the election day have that big of a decrease of over 800,000 voters? Mathematically, that's basically impossible. But is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No. That's a problem I think Democrats have right now. This last election, they had so long to get their frickin' votes, and they had a whole month plus to get their votes, and technically it was like 26 days, but you get the point. Here, it's more like 10 days. They really get the early vote. That's a problem that Democrats have. And Republicans have actually been doing a decent job getting the base out. You scroll down here, and you look at the day of voters. 5% of the early vote are those that voted on election day in the 2022 general election. I understand there's 4% that didn't vote in 2022, but it gets canceled out by there's more day of voters than non-voters. These voters are going to be significantly more Republican. You see, they're more white. They're a bit more male than the early vote voters. And they're a bit more Republican overall. This is what I call the Kemp machine. And you know I've not been the biggest fan of Brian Kemp, but he's been doing a decent job getting the vote out for Walker. You look here, and this is the best example of what I mean. Look at the total votes. This is misleading because Fulton and DeKalb, they had extra days for early voting, while other counties refused to do it. It was stupid, but I don't know how much that's going to affect the election. But look at the mail-in votes. Look at number 1, Cherokee County, which has a fourth of the a fourth of the registered voters of Fulton. Forsyth, which is another Republican stronghold, is third. And look at this. They don't have many mail-in votes. So this is the best apples-to-apples comparison we have, because it's going to take a couple days for the early vote to even out. Because Republicans, they were campaigning. The 28th is when polls open, get out the vote. While Democrats, they were campaigning like it was the 26th. So it's going to even out. But the mail-in vote is the closest thing to an apples-to-apples comparison. And again, it's going to be more Democrat than early in person. But so far, the Republican counties, percentage-wise, even raw vote totals, they're kicking ass. And this is what Walker needs. And this is what I can give credits to Brian Kemp for. He is helping Herschel Walker big time. If it wasn't for Kemp, I wouldn't think he had a chance. But if he's able to get this many voters from Cherokee and Forsyth to vote by mail, while Fulton, they're not getting anywhere close to the numbers they expected. You do some math and you realize, ooh boy, that's not a good sign for Democrats. And again, there's a chance these early voters, they may vote on election day. There's a serious shot of that. But the most Democrat vote, especially from places like Fulton or DeKalb, they're going to come from the mail-in votes. If Cherokee and Forsyth are kicking your asses, that's not a good sign. And you look at where these early votes are coming from. A place like Fulton, it's from northern Fulton, which is still Democrat. But it's not 90-10 Democrat like central and southern Fulton is. It's like 50-50, 40-60 Democrat. That's the issue that I think Democrats are going to run into. When you look at where it's coming from, you look at apples-to-apples comparison, it's not the best sign for Democrats right now. But again, the problem for Walker is he needs to have a big election day vote. For all of this to matter, he needs to have a big election day vote, which we won't know till next week. But we just got to see. And again, I'm not saying this is my prediction for Georgia that Walker will win or anything like that. I'm just saying you look at the apples-to-apples comparison. It's solid for Republicans. What may hurt us, and again, I don't think it will. I really don't think this is going to hurt us that much. The 2 extra days of voting could have maybe helped Democrats by 5,000 votes. Maybe. I just don't know if that's really influential or not. So I hope people understand that I'm not making a prediction just yet, but I am somewhat confident. I'm not saying Walker's the favorite, but I can see there is some hope for the Walker campaign. But we just got to see. And I will be doing a couple other updates when we get more votes, because so far, it's not the best apples comparison. Hopefully in 2 days or so, I can make another video with more close to reality early vote numbers. Because if Fulton is outvoting Cherokee in the early vote by 10 times, there's no chance. We just gotta see. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Godspeed to all of you.